This is Ask Homesteady, the show that we do from time to time where we answer the questions that you have left on our channel. Today we're going to answer your questions about
homeschooling.
Let's get into it. Ding! If you want to get a question answered on our channel, all you have to do is leave a question with the hashtag AskHomesteady, all one word. And from time to time, we sit down and cover the questions that have been left here.
The hashtag is so we can find your question.
And we had a lot of questions from this homeschool series that we've done. So if you missed the first two videos, the first video was on why we homeschool. Second video,
how we homeschool.
And now this one, we're just going to answer the questions that were left. We have a lot. Let's dive right in.
All right.
First question we're going to get to today. Candace wants to know, how do we homeschool multiple grade levels at the same time? She has a kindergartner, first grader, second grader, and she would love to homeschool. So you should do it, Candace. How do we handle multiple grade levels?
We have all elementary school children as well, as far as ages. And that, for me, is one of the bonuses of homeschooling. They're all different ages. They're all different abilities. They're all different places of where they are in their education. One of the great things is older kids can teach the younger kids. So if you need to, really focus on one of them, have an older one teach one of the younger ones, and then give your focus to your third one. It's a great way for the older ones to review whatever they've been taught, and also learn a life skill, which is teaching other people, which is something they will be doing their entire life. And why not start learning now?
I mean, from doing this channel, I've learned more from like trying to teach something in a video, because you have to relearn how, not only what you know, but then how to explain it. So yeah, we find it really gives them a lot more opportunity to do that. And I think our kids, we see them all the time teaching the younger ones.
Without us saying anything.
They just are doing it.
Teaching them to count, teaching them colors, teaching them to talk, teaching them, our second son shocked us when he counted without issue to 12. Like, did you teach him that?
No, I never taught him that.
No? He's around his older siblings who are teaching and talking all the time to him about that thing.
Yeah,
thing.
One of the benefits, pack learning. It's a good thing. And also, just as you approach homeschool, get away from the grade 1, grade 2, what grade are you in? We say these things for the people who are new to it so they can identify what our kids' grades are in. But we don't really keep track of it. Like, who cares? Just, what is your kid learning right now? Don't worry so much about the grades.
Yeah, and it's so different. Homeschooling is so different than public schooling because you're one-on-one. So even if you have 3 kids, you're still one person to only 3 children. So you're asking, how do you homeschool 3 different grades or abilities all at the same time? It's amazing how quickly you can teach something and then kind of let them go off on their own with, are they learning to count? Are they learning addition, subtraction? Okay, well, this is what you do. Show them once. Okay, now practice that on your own. Okay, on to the next one. Do your thing. Practice on your own. Then come back to the first one. Okay, okay, I see what you did. That was a good try. Let's change a little bit here to do better. So it's not as challenging as you think, especially when you get out of the mindset that, okay, I will spend 1 hour with this child to teach them this thing.
I think when it comes to things too, like you think about like a history class, what would be taught to one grade versus another. Instead, we read a history book and the younger ones pick up on some things and the older ones pick up on other things. We just teach it once. We read through the book once, and maybe we'll reread it in another 5 years when the younger ones are older.
Yeah, maybe we'll read a different.
But it all happens at once to the group, so.
Brianna asks, how do you guys handle tests? Here in Virginia, they require kids to go into the school at the end of the year for an exam. Do you guys have the same situation? If so, how do you handle that? Because personally, just thinking about it gives me anxiety. I looked into your Virginia laws, and I saw that there were different options for you at the end of the school year. You can have an evaluator. You can also take a standardized test because they want to see progress. If the testing at the school is giving you anxiety, I know in Pennsylvania they require us to do standardized testing at certain grades. Those can either be done at an evaluator's setup. Sometimes they'll do it in a library with an evaluator. Other times you can just do it online. I don't know if that's an option for you. If you do want to do the standardized testing as an evaluation, maybe you can do it online. It seems like there are some options for you, though, if that is making you feel anxious about it. We're approaching the time where we will give a standardized test. We'll do that online. And also, I noticed that they're only required to, I think, get like in 38%. So, yeah, I can understand having anxiety about that. I did too when we first moved here, and I heard you had to do this standardized test. Well, what if they fail? What if they fail? Because I didn't see that you had to do that in Virginia. Maybe do a different option at first. And also, if you do end up having an evaluator and they don't pass you, you can do something else. So there seems like there's a lot of avenues for you to explore.
One of the big things with Pennsylvania with the evaluator that we make sure to do is find the right evaluator.
Yes.
Because you have the right to choose.
If you can do it online, do it online. If your child is more comfortable with their evaluator working with them to do that, then do that.
Okay, this is a good one. Tasha wanted to know, this one you'll have to answer because you had to deal with this. Tasha wanted to know, the only thing holding her back from homeschooling, which she really wants to do, was her husband. And she says, how can you get your significant other on board with homeschooling? So this is a good one because you had a husband who didn't want to homeschool your kids, our kids. Mm-hmm. How did you deal with it?
It came down to figuring out what were your objections to it. So yours were kind of like social. You thought our kids would be weird. What else were they? Yeah,
and then can we really teach them as good as they're going to learn in school? We talked about it in the first video. And then how are we going to do it?
If there are homeschooling co-ops in your area, maybe take him to one of those, talk with other parents who are homeschooling their kids. I think seeing other kids that were homeschooling helped too. Our next door neighbor in Connecticut, their child was being homeschooled, and I remember you talking to the dad and kind of just like being impressed by what their child was like and what he was learning.
Yeah, that would be a big one, having them interact with kids a little bit further along in the homeschool world.
And parents, yeah.
One of the big things I think could help is normalizing it. From our generation till now, it was a much smaller group who did this. Now, helping a significant other recognize, like, this is not a weird thing that only like super religious or abusive people or like, this is mainstream. And
yeah,
this year more
now.
than ever. So, I mean...
Like, is he concerned about the cost? Is he concerned that your kids won't be around other kids? What is he concerned about?
Yeah.
And, I mean, if he's concerned about the cost, there's ways to do it at no expense at all. If he's concerned about seeing other kids, take him to a homeschool co-op group.
And then another thing to remember is you can, if you want, you can always go back.
Yeah.
The public school will take you back. So even if you just presented it like, you know what?
Let's try it for a year.
This year of all years with COVID, I'm not comfortable with sending the kids in this year. Why don't we just try it this year? And then if it doesn't work, they can go back.
Yeah.
I wonder how many ever do, but it's an option. You can always go back. But yeah, identifying, like anything in life, try not to make it a big fight, but just identify what's holding them back, give them time to come around, and exposure to, proof that the worries and concerns
are maybe unfounded.
Yeah, my worries proved to be something that weren't really a problem. So hopefully that helps. I hope he comes around. What was another big reason for me that I came around? Oh, the freedom.
Oh,
that was
yes.
a huge one for me too, because just as we got closer to having school-age kids, you would say like, oh, this was nice this year to go to this museum in the off schedule. Well, next year we're going to have to go during Christmas break.
Or boy, you love going to Pennsylvania in November, and
we used to come here for deer hunting.
To do this next year because they'll be in school.
Like, man. Or if you're already tied to the system, you maybe highlight,
Wouldn't it be nice?
Boy,
to be
look
able
at
to-
that sale right now. Discount travel tickets to this place. Not that anyone's traveling this year, but just highlight, wow, we could have a lot more freedom, because that was a big thing for me. Like, oh man, we could. Our life would be so much nicer. We got a couple of comments about making it work if you are a single parent who works full time, like Chelsea, right? Chelsea is a...
I'm reading your comment, Chelsea, and it's making me sad.
Well, why? Tell.
Talking about homeschooling, my 2 daughters this school year. She's a single mom. My oldest is 16, so she's pretty much good on her own, so I don't really worry about her so much. But my youngest, she's 10, is a different story. She has struggled so much with school. She was born 4 months early, and she's always been a little socially behind. Although she's incredibly smart, school has been very difficult for her. She is constantly bullied by students for being different, even by teachers as well. Hearing the way you guys do your homeschooling definitely opens up my eyes on how to look for other options. I'm a single mom and work full-time. Although it's going to be a difficult schedule, I'm determined to make it work. So I'm sorry you're going through that, Chelsea. That's terrible. And I'm very encouraged that you're still going to work at homeschooling, even though your circumstances are hard. And at the beginning of this whole series, we said it might not work for some people. It might not be what you want to do. We're all coming into this with different goals and morals and circumstances. But I really enjoyed your comment, and I hope it works for you. Remembering that school doesn't have to happen at 8 to 3 Monday through Friday. You can do it in the evenings. If you have childcare for your children, grandparents, could grandparents help them with their online? Can they be there while they're doing their online education?
She has a 16-year-old daughter.
Right.
So, I mean...
And 10. So they're old enough to be more...
So just our little bit of advice, is just remembering, and this is to any parent who's like, well, I can't do it because of my schedule. School doesn't have to be 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
No, that's to be... You're not on the public school schedule anymore.
Yeah.
So if you come home and it's an evening, it's beautiful outside, walk outside, see what you see. Wow, look at this tree, the leaves are changing. What's that mean? What's happening here?
And now her daughter's 10 years
10.
old, getting into middle school age, so getting beyond the elementary lessons, finding supplemental things that, let's say you're not home throughout the day, but you feel comfortable leaving your 10-year-old with your 16-year-old. There's a lot of, like she mentioned in her comment, online education for those more advanced concepts that when you get home, you can sit and chat with your daughter and catch up and see how she did. And if she's having trouble, you can help her with, or find someone who can. But, 10 years old, self-directed learning. She could do a lot at home while you're at work, and then pick up the slack over the weekends and after work.
You can do it.
Totally. And I really am excited. Chelsea's comment opens us up to the topic of bullying from not only the kids, but the teachers. Because one of the comments we got from a few people was that we were attacking teachers. And then another comment we got a lot was, what about bullying? Kids need to be bullied. When are your kids ever going to get bullied if they're homeschooled? So let's dive into these subjects. Let's open this one up.
A little more in depth.
Kristen is a longtime listener of our podcast and YouTube channel, and she was disappointed by some of the things that we said. And Kristen was actually educated to become a teacher, and her husband is a teacher. And she felt that some of the things we said were wrong about teachers and really attacking teachers. So Kristen, I wanted to just say first off, your husband sounds like a great teacher from your comment. And we never intended to attack teachers as a whole.
No.
Just acknowledging that nothing is perfect. Nothing can do everything. So as we talk about homeschooling and its pros, we also admit there are things that public school does better, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, this is not an attack on parents who choose to have their kids in public school.
It's not an attack on teachers.
It's not an attack on teachers. We're talking about our kids, why we chose homeschooling for them, and why we feel like homeschooling for us is a better option than public school.
And I will present the argument why I think it's a better option for every child.
So we said none of this was directed at teachers.
Yeah.
They're in a very difficult place, and your husband may agree with this, and what they're expected to do with the materials that they're given and the circumstances that they're being pushed into, especially this year.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify because Kristen thought that in one of our videos we had said that teachers make more money if more students come to the school. And if you go back and listen to what we said, that's not what we were ever saying. What we were just basically saying is that if you talk to a teacher whose career is centered on this organization thriving and getting more and more kids into it so they get more and more funding from the government, so that teacher gets a paid salary and a summer off
for students
and all that, of course the teacher's going to say, no, the best way to teach a kid is the public school system. That doesn't mean they're right. What we were just basically saying is that teachers are going to support public education because that's where their livelihood comes from. So public school teachers generally will say you should public school your children. Not always, and Kristen's actually homeschooling her kids, so I thought that was interesting. Public school teachers have a job at a public school when kids go there. So of course, it's in their best interest to, for the most part, encourage sending children to public school so they continue to have a career and an occupation that they believe in, that they're trying to do their best at. And we have had teachers who have done great things for us. We know there are great teachers, like the commenter, her husband sounds like a great teacher. But we do not believe all teachers are great. There are great teachers, not all of them are great.
Yeah, so this has become a theme, it seems like, for a lot of people to put these people, a large group of people, because of their profession, on this platform. If we break it down, there are true statements that can be made here. That is, teachers are people. Teaching is a profession, so it's a job that people are getting paid to do. Nurses are another one that people like to put on this platform of perfection. If you've been in the hospital, you've had great nurses. You've had nurses that were fine. You've had nurses that you were like, thank God their shift is over. Teachers, you were in a totally different school than I was, in a totally different state. We've had the experience of great teachers. We've had teachers that were fine. And we've had teachers who shouldn't be teachers.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying teachers are getting paid to teach and that they are people. So they are not perfect, and they will have bad days. But I think it's because teachers are doing a very important job. We are handing over our most valuable, the most valuable thing in our life to the care of these people.
Literally our future.
And we're hoping, beyond hope, that these teachers will be wonderful because they have our children. And we need them. For us to feel comfortable with sending our children there, we need them to be great. But it's a sad fact of life that they're not all great.
And I ask you comments below. Tell us real quick comment, the amount of teachers you feel, just quick percentage, great, fine, bad. If I were to answer that.
And your own personal experience.
Yeah, my personal answer to that, I had literally 5 great teachers out of 12 years of school, and each year multiple teachers. So that's like maybe a 5% of my teachers were great.
I was going to say 10, because you don't have all the
10%?
teachers, right?
Okay.
I didn't have all the teachers in the school, so maybe I'll bump up the numbers a little bit.
And then I probably had,
80%.
80% were fine, which means they weren't good teachers. They were fine. They didn't do any bad things.
Is that the number you were going to say?
80%? Yeah. And then there were
I'd
probably
give it maybe 70.
Okay, and then there were probably the lower tier who shouldn't be. Even I don't think the fine ones honestly should be teaching. I think if you're going to go into teaching, do it because you love it and you're going to really make these kids' life better.
But let's be honest, every day, day after day, it's a job. It's going to feel like a job. There are days that it's hard and you have a headache and you don't want to be around 20 or 30 kids. That's fine. Your husband knows teachers who aren't great. Your husband knows teachers who maybe shouldn't be teaching anymore. Your husband knows teachers who are there because it's paying the bills and they need to be there. For some teachers, it's a calling. This is their life. That's not all teachers, though.
No. And
I don't think it's wrong to say that. You
the
can say it
reality.
about doctors.
Yeah.
You can say it about any profession that's out there.
And then there was a misconception that we were talking badly about teachers because they get summers off. We didn't say anything negative about that. Teachers get summers off. Not all teachers do, and teachers work long days. So
Yeah,
do
it's okay.
farmers.
It's okay to have summers off.
You know, I mean, like a lot of people work
We
long
get
days.
winters off, kind of. Farming.
No, we don't.
Kind
Far from farming, maybe.
Yeah, they're like less work in the winter.
But
sometimes
it's fine if a teacher
Yeah,
gets
it's okay.
summers off or doesn't. We didn't say anything negative about it. So, but now the bullying element. I had teachers who I saw bully kids. So that's how I know not all teachers, but kids too. Kids bully kids. And this is a comment we got a couple different people. Some who were like, you know, they don't like the bullying, but it's a fact of life. Others who, and this is just shows, makes me feel like what a twisted system where we are like looking at bullying as one of the beneficial experiences for our kids to go through. And thank you, public school, for providing our kids this opportunity to be bullied. People were commenting and saying, but what about having your kids get bullied? They need to understand the world isn't perfect. They need to get picked on. They need to get bullied, and they won't get that at homeschool. Here we go. Let's get into this one.
there's maybe people are under the misconception that if you're homeschooling your children, they're locked at home and they never go anywhere else. And that's certainly not the case with all of the homeschool families that I know, us included. Our kids go outside, they go to the playground, they go to classes and clubs, they have interactions with other children. So there's plenty of opportunity to come up against somebody that you don't see eye to eye to. You know, there's that kid who's pushing you off the slide. There's maybe you're the kid who's pushing others off the slide. There's those chances to be bullied, to be a bully, which I guess some consider this pivotal part of childhood. There is not the chance for a child to be in a, I don't want to say unsupervised, the teachers are there, but the ratios are so off. One adult to 20 kids. I do not believe that is healthy for a child to be in a situation where these children are left to bully without being checked. That, for me, is not a necessary developmental part of early childhood. If my child's 3 years old and I'm at the playground with them and I see somebody push them off a swing, I'm going to go over there. We're going to talk to said child who pushed my child, take them to their parent, whatever needs to be done, but that's not right. Just because they're 5 years old, it doesn't mean that they're ready. They're ready to go up against children who are going to be mean, who are going to be largely unsupervised. This is not right. And I get that we're all coming from different places in our lives, but for a child to be put through that, we don't have to go into the stories that you read in the news or hear about children being just tortured by these other children to the point where they kill themselves. That, to me, is wrong. We're starting these anti-bullying initiatives, right? Celebrities are starting this. Adults who bully are being called out on the news. But you're saying that this is necessary for our children to experience?
I used this in a comment. I responded to one of these questions. When you think of a herd of animals, prey animals who get predators attacking them, picture a group of elephants or a group of buffalo, and on comes a predator, a lion's attacking them. What do the elephants do? Do they let the little ones fend for themselves? They say, hey, sorry. No, the elephants surround the little elephants. The larger ones protect the little ones because the little ones are not actually capable of defending themselves against this predator. They're not there in life, but they do learn from the center of that ring how to handle the predator. They get to observe another animal, the same kind of animal, who is equipped to deal with this predator properly. They get to observe how they do it. They say, oh, a big elephant, this is what they do. And when I'm a big elephant, that's what I'll do. And that's how that works. And elephants are a very smart animal. That's why it's a nice one. Maybe zebra just all run and the little ones get eaten, but like an elephant's a good one to look to.
Poor thing.
So when it comes to our children, the whole idea that they'll never learn how to deal with adversity, they'll never learn how to deal with a challenge or another adult as an adult, that is not true. I learned at my father's side, working with him for 15 years in business, people accused, my father, he was a great businessman, they accused him of cheating them, they accused him of doing things wrong, they threatened him, they stole from him, employees stole from him, people who owed him money cheated him. I saw everything you could face professionally. And I got to watch safely from the sideline as I was a younger man, or a younger boy really, how does an adult man who is responsible, who doesn't just let his testosterone kick in and start punching. He had a guy come up to him one day at work and push him, trying to start a fight. My dad he was a boxer as a kid. He knows how to fight. He could knock somebody out easily, and yet he didn't. And I get to watch that and say, okay, he could have knocked that guy out no problem. Why didn't he? Because a man doesn't just knock people out. He doesn't have to. There's other ways to handle problems like this. I got to learn that as a teenager and even a young adult. So now when someone disagrees with me, I don't have to knock them out. When someone disagrees with me on my YouTube channel, I don't have to delete their comment. I don't have to X them out. I can actually logically respond to it.
Yeah, this is one of the ways our children see that in life there are people who will not agree with you. They will attack you, whether it's through words or physically. With our YouTube channel, we'll get accusations, people who say they want to throw us off a mountain, crazy things people say. So our kids hear us talking about these things and they'll ask us questions. What's going on? Oh, well, this is what's happening. How should we deal with that? And how does that make us feel? Open that dialogue with our children without putting them in a situation where they're on their own dealing with it.
Where suddenly they're the little elephant all by itself. Because that little elephant doesn't know how to handle this kind of problem. You're in school, there's a teacher there to instruct them, to guide them. That teacher's not there instructing them and guide them every step to teach them how to be good people. That is our job as parents, to help them learn morally. I don't want them to be bullied, but I don't want them to be a bully either. And that's my job as a parent, to help them develop this moral code that as they go walking through their life, they're good, kind, compassionate people. I guess basically what we're saying is they will be challenged, and as they get older, they will learn the right ways to deal with those challenges, but they will never, ever, as long as they are children, be in a circumstance where they feel like they're alone and powerless to face the challenge. Because honestly, when you become a professional adult and somebody puts you in a position where they're challenging you, if they're doing something immoral, as an adult, you know there's power recourse. You have, the recourse. But we know all too well there's plenty of children who have been put in those positions and become real victims. Life as an adult is different, and they will be able to handle it as an adult. We will make sure of it. But we don't feel they need to be bullied. That's not something children should have to go through at a very young age. And that's all there is to that. Let's go to the next question. We do get asked, or people when talking about homeschool, they wonder about the college thing. We got a couple comments about, what about college? Can homeschool kids go to college?
Yes.
Read the comments below. There's lots of parents bragging about their homeschool kid who's now off to college. If they want to, they'll be able to. Even
despite the fact that they're homeschooled.
Yeah, so you can go to college. GB and PA says, I'm excited. My 10-year-old is officially a homeschooler. Congratulations. They're in PA. One of their biggest concerns is keeping track of the daily work and days of school. Any tips? And then also, do I have to teach each subject daily? So.
No, you don't have to teach each subject daily. Also, keeping track can be as complicated or as easy as you want to make it. Some will simply have 180 days, have their marks on there, they start in July every day, you're done. You're teaching your child every day. So don't feel like you have to write down 40 minutes civics, 25 minutes mathematics. That's not what you have to do. That's not what your evaluator
In
is looking
PA,
for either.
yeah, you don't have to do that.
Just have you educated them for 180 days? Yes. Have you considered these subjects? And you'll have that in your portfolio. You'll have your sections of, we went to Gettysburg. Well, that's PA history. That's, we learned this, we did this worksheet. Or look what we did with acorns. We took a picture of it. That's what they want to see. They just want to see that you're educating your child. They don't need to see on Tuesday, May 25th, you spent this much time with algebra. Keep it simple for your own sake.
Another question a few people asked, Martha was one of them, what about parents who don't feel confident and creative themselves, who don't feel they're able to teach? How can they learn to homeschool? I think one of the best ways to do that is find a co-op, a bunch of other parents who are doing it.
That will give you the confidence to do it. We're not these like geniuses. We're nice people.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Some people don't think I am always, but
You're always.
no, we're creative and we're
In our own
kind
ways, but
and
I
we're
feel
confident, but
I feel like everybody's creative in their own way.
yeah, if public school didn't beat it out of them.
But everyone has that potential. You just need to get out of the mindset that only a teacher can teach my child, because it's not true.
That's not true.
You are a teacher. We are teachers. We've taught them since they were in utero. We've been teaching them. Whether it works for your situation, that's a different story. That's up to you. Can you make it work? Do you want to make it work? Can you teach your child? Yes, you can teach your child. There are resources. There are free resources online. There are co-ops. There are homeschooling Facebook groups. Now there's just a plethora of places and people that you can learn from if you need a bit of a confidence boost that can help you, give you that push. So you believe in yourself. That's what your kids need as a teacher. They need you to believe that you can teach them, because the learning comes easy to them. It really does. How's that for motivation?
Yeah, that was great.
Are you motivated now?
I'm motivated. I can do this.
I'll teach you.
I think we should end with the last question. The last question. Oh yeah, okay. So Randy asked a question. We do get this asked this time to time. Are you worried your kids will wish they had the experience of going to public school? What would you do if your kids told you they wanted to go to public school rather than continue homeschooling? Randy, this is a question we have been asked from time to time. And
am I worried that they'll miss it? I'm not worried, because your kids will always want, right? They're kids. They want, like, okay, so say we went to the playground. Well, they still wanted to go to the bouncy house, but we didn't go to the bouncy house. But they still had fun at the playground. I still think I'm giving them a very well-rounded, beneficial education. So even if they come to the point in their life when they say, I want that experience of high school. I want to sit in the cafeteria. I want to have study hall. I want to like drive my car to school. Like, we can find ways to make that work. If they need they want to go to some classes at a community college. There are ways to get that public school experience without being enrolled in public school.
here's the thing. You're the parent. You have the responsibility, the job to do what you feel is best for your child. You and me will disagree on that. For example, you may be religious and you may believe in one faith. And to you, that may be very important to teach your child. And I might disagree with what you're teaching them. But you're going to do what's best according to what you believe. So for us, we both, as adults, truly believe the best education for our children is here at our home. Some of you watching disagree with that, and that's okay. Our children may disagree with that. There may be a time where they say, I want to go to public school.
They haven't disagreed with it yet.
They haven't
so
yet.
So far, they love it.
Our answer would be no. Because we know what's best for our children. We feel the best education for them is here. And just like in the past, we've had our children have to go through some things they didn't want to do. For example, we've had our kids had to go through surgery, right? They had something wrong and they needed a surgery done. They didn't want to do it. Here, buddy, you got to put on your gown. and you got to go get wheeled back and you got to go have this surgery done. No. Our son had to have surgery. He didn't want to have the surgery done. Now, our heartstrings were tugged when he said, I don't want to have this surgery done. But if he didn't get the surgery done, it would, in the long run, be worse for him. He needed to have this done. So we as the parents said, sorry, you have to have this surgery done. We know you don't want to, but we know it's best for you. Even though it hurts our heart a little to send you back there, that's what we're going to do. As the parent, you have to decide what's best for your children. That's your job. Not the government's, not your mother or father's, not your family members, not your teacher friend. It's your responsibility to give your children what you truly believe is the best. And even if they disagree with you, they are your children. You have the job of deciding what's best for them. We would not send them to public school. It's not, the government doesn't care more about your kids than you.
No, and we said this before.
I think the best way to close this video is just like, yeah.
We'll all do the best for our kids that we can, making the best decisions we can with the circumstances that we have. That's what we're doing. And if you can't do what we're doing, that's okay. Just do the best for your kids.
Yeah, you'll know what that is and do it. And if you can at the very moment, if you feel like right now, hey, I wish I could, but I can't. I think homeschooling would be better for them, but I can't. You absolutely can change your life. So maybe you can't do it this year. Get working on it and make the changes you need. You have some time. Nothing, you can't have everything, but you can have anything. So make it happen.
Yeah, I was thinking too, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. If you can't homeschool your kids, you need to have them in public school, then you know that, and that's, you love your kids. No one is saying you don't love your kids if you have them in public school. No one would ever say that. Still, teach your kids. They still need you. Just because you send them to school doesn't mean your job's over and you don't have to teach them anything. They still need you to teach them. Even if you don't feel confident, you're teaching them. You're already doing it.
Make those confident, creative, kind children the best way you know how. Okay, well, this has been fun. Hope it helps some people. We'll get back to homesteading in our next video.